So this is our card today. It came from Stampin' Success magazine. So this is a magazine for demonstrators only. Stampin' Up does a really fantastic job of inspiring us and training us and educating us. And one of the ways that they really spoil demonstrators is with this magazine that's just for demonstrators. It's packed full of awesome inspiration, product, training. It has demonstrator features in it. You can get to know your fellow demonstrators. It really is a wonderful magazine just for demonstrators. So if you've ever thought about being a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, let me tell you, it really is all that. We see things first. We get to be part of an amazing community. Stampin' Up! Really goes out of their way to support us with resources. It's the best product and product coordination on the market. So if you've ever thought about joining Stampin' Up!, can I encourage you to just do it? It's an amazing company, and you're never without support. So we're sitting around after coffee and a card. Hey, Jackie. Jackie's one of the kitchenettes that was sitting around after coffee and a card making this card. And it was just demonstrators that were left from my team. And we pulled out the Stampin' Success magazine and we were oohing and eyeing over that 2-page spread and decided to just do it, just make the cards. And so, since it turned out so awesome, I thought I would share with you guys. I'll have a project sheet with the measurements and the photos and stuff right after. In fact, it's already done. All I have to do is add this video to the post. So it's all ready to go. And then you can stamp along with us from the Stampin' Success magazine too. All right. Jackie says the silver stars look great. Aren't they good? I didn't have the star and snowflake, like the little confetti mix, so I used the foil, and I love the way they turned out. All right, well, you guys are settling in here. I'm going to go through the Stampin' Up! Supplies I used to make this card. So the first thing is the Still Scenes bundle. I am just head over heels with the Snow Globe Scenes dies. I am so hoping that we are going to see in occasions some fun things that we can do with this die set that aren't necessarily snow globe or are more spring, summer, Valentine's related. I just have a feeling that it's gonna happen, because this would make a fantastic fishbowl or gumball machine. I just hope that Stampin' Up! Keeps adding on to this die set. This is the Snow Globe Scenes dies. We're going to need our little and big polar bear from here and our pine trees. You can see it's got the snow globe and base, and then an ornate piece to decorate the base, reindeer, and then a house that can be turned into a church, and then the die cut that cuts out this snowy home scene from the Still Scenes stamp set. It's got both of those greetings that we used here in it. Just a fantastic bundle. When you buy Still Scenes with snow globe dies, you save 10% on both items. And then I grabbed my Twinkle Builder punch. I love this punch. I'm using it to embellish all the time, so that came naturally to me when I needed to put stars in the air. Let's see here. What else do I have? Stampin' Up! Supplies. I've got Garden Green ink pad. Got soft suede ink and blueberry bushel. And then I've got a sponge brayer. And then a couple of Stampin' sponges. Now I take and I cut my sponges into 6 wedges. And then I use the tab punch to indicate what color that sponge is for. And each color has its own sponge. That way they'll last longer and you'll get better results sponging. So this is some Stampin' sponges all cut up and prepared. We're gonna need a little bit of linen thread. Grab that dude out of there. And then our cardstock supplies. Oh, I lost a star there. I wonder if I have enough stars or if I've lost them. I punched them ahead of time because I did 8. And I figured, you know, watching me punch 8 stars might be like watching paint dry. My card base is gray granite, and it's 8.5 by 5.5 and scored at 4 1/4. My designer series paper is from the Come Gather This is the Fall Thanksgiving Designer Series paper pack that's brand new in the holiday catalog. Look at the back of that one. Isn't that gorgeous? This is 4 1/4 by 3 3/4. I've got a piece of Whisper White for my sentiment. This is 1 inch by 2 3/8. That's the thing that they don't give us in our Stampin' Success magazine is the dimensions. So you have to figure those out. So I'll be sharing all those dimensions on the project sheet. You don't have to run and write them down. I'll have them so you can just print them right off. My garden green cardstock is enough to cut 4 sets of this tree die. We want 4 of those. And this is 5 inches by, I think, 3 3/4. Then I got a scrap of soft suede, and this is about 1 1/4 by 3. That's for cutting our little bears. I was gonna say polar bears, but we're making them brown, so they're not polar bears. All right, that's our Stampin' Up! Supplies. I'm gonna grab some work paper here, grid paper, because we're gonna do some inking techniques. So I'll get those and get the ink pads, and we'll get started. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a fun inking technique with the blueberry bushel and the sponge brayer, and that's going to give us our kind of rustic looking sky. It's one of the things that I loved best about this card. Look at how cool that is. It almost has a jean look to it, like a washed denim or something. Isn't that awesome? And that effect is going to come from brayering the blueberry bushel onto the gray granite. It's going to have a really cool effect. So we're going to take the sponge brayer and we're going to roll in the blueberry bushel, and you'll see that the ink is starting to collect on the sponge. You see that? So just roll and take your time, fill it up. And then we're gonna ink the top, like 1/3 of the card. And you're just gonna roll back and forth, layering on the ink until you're happy with the shade that you get. Judy and Janie love this sky, right? I think that is one of the things that just really makes this card special. And it's such an easy effect to get. You get your brayer out, your blueberry bushel, and just ink until you're satisfied with the shade that you've got. I think I'm pretty happy with that. You can layer the ink on as you go. Can't take it off though, so go slow. What do you think? I think that looks pretty good. Not a fun thing. And then I don't know, it looks a little rustic. The way the blueberry bushel is kind of a bright, bold, primary color, but when you brayer over the gray granite, it gives you a more rustic outdoors look. Okay, let's slide this aside. We're gonna let that dry. And then we're gonna take that Whisper White piece and stamp our outside greeting. We got Season's Greetings. It's kind of a close fit here, but I found that it wasn't too hard to stamp, to hit. You want it pretty well to the right as much as you can get it, because the bear's little bum is going to overlap the greeting, but it's a close fit. So there's Season's Greetings. Diane loves using the sponge brayer. Me too. And Judy thinks it looks more realistic, right? That modeled look. The sky is, looks like evening, a night sky. I love it. All right, I've got my inside greeting. We're gonna ink that one up in blueberry bushel now also. And then let's make sure I stamp it right side up. I could always put a liner in there and cover it. There's no mistakes in stamping, only opportunities to embellish, right? But if we can get it right the first time, that's far more professional. All right, so there's our inside greeting. May the timeless message of Christmas fill your heart and home with joy today and always. Love. All right, so those guys are gonna sit aside for just a minute. I'm going to grab my Big Shot, so I'm just gonna slide these forward. Look at that. Oh my goodness, who's in charge here? I don't even have a chamois close to me. You guys want to know a secret? I'm wearing pajama pants. I'm going to wipe it on my pants. Shh, don't tell my secrets, okay? All right, let's slide these guys forward. I'm bringing the die cut machine for just a minute here, and we're going to cut some pieces from that snow globe dies. What is the official name of that again? I'm still learning the names from the holiday catalog. Snow globe scenes. I've got my garden green cardstock and my trees. We're gonna cut 4 of these. I've got some of them cut ahead of time. I'm not gonna cut them all while we watch, but we'll need 4 to get enough trees. And on this little size paper, I'm gonna go all the way to the edge. And then my stars are everywhere. We'll see if I can find them again. I've got my soft suede here, and I'm gonna just pop all these through. So it's gonna require 3 passes through the die cut machine because you need 4 sets of those trees, but you can do these first 3 all at once. All right, there's my bears. Look at how cute they are, especially that little one. Aw. Diane says pajamas are her official card making uniform. Plenty of ink on hers. Oh, Diane, you're a woman after my own heart. And Janie says PJs are the best, right? My pajamas are usually yoga pants. You know, I don't get too crazy, but there's one set of trees. Now, when you die cut these, to get the 4 out of the paper that I suggest, you'll flip your die and kind of nestle it in, and then repeat. You'll repeat that 4 times. So that's how you'll do that. And then you can repeat the process 2 more times. All right, let's slide that aside. So we're gonna take these little pine tree cutouts that we made. There's 4 of them. And some garden green ink. Our sponge. We're gonna ink up garden green, and then we're just gonna dab over the pine trees, and it'll give them a really cool piney texture. And then once we've got that texture kind of applied to the pine, we'll go and ink the edges of the boughs a little bit. So you're doing 2 different applications here and getting 2 different effects. When you pounce on it, it brings texture. So here's a plain cardstock, and then here's the one that's got that little texture on it. See the difference? It really makes a fun little detail. And you can roll these forward a bit and just get in there. I'm gonna bend them to my will. All right, we've got our trees all inked up. They look beautiful. And then we need our little bears. They're gonna get that same little pouncing treatment. So we're gonna bring in the soft suede, ink up, and just pounce lightly on them. Make them look kind of fuzzy. And if you want to, you can go around the edge a little bit. Don't be alarmed with soft suede. A lot of people are. It goes on really dark, but it dries lighter. All right, so cute. I clear away these ink pads. I've got my snail adhesive here, and I'm going to go ahead and apply my designer series paper. But before I go, I'm gonna put a lot of snail along that top edge. All right, now we're gonna kind of audition these dudes. We wanna bring some of these trees in, but we're gonna bring them in from behind. So there's our first set, and then our second set of trees. I think I like how that guy goes. Now we can go ahead and adhere our designer series paper and our first row of trees. And at this point, just for security and tidiness, I'm going to add a tiny bit. You can use multi-purpose liquid glue here. Be careful with your multi-purpose liquid glue because it'll re-wet the ink. You don't want to make a mess of your inking. Now we've got another set of trees here that we're going to bring over the top to make this dimensional forest look. Do you see how it's got layers of trees? And that one I am going to grab my multi-purpose liquid glue for. But before I glue it down, I'm going to put it in place where I like it. and audition my greeting to make sure that everything that I want covered is covered and that it looks good. I want to slide it to the right just about maybe 1/8 of an inch, so I feel pretty good about placement. Nice. All right, then we're gonna take the last set of 3 trees and just snip off these 2. They're gonna go in there behind our little bears, and I'm gonna put them on with dimensionals. So we'll hold off on that for just a minute. I'm gonna grab my linen thread and tie a bow. Here's some linen thread. You're gonna need maybe about 10 inches. I'm gonna tie it right off the spool because I can. And you're gonna tie kind of a loopy bow. Little big loops. Little big loops. Such a good communicator. All right. Kind of long tails too. Dot of liquid glue on the knot. And then we're gonna glue that right to the corner of our greeting. Right to the back side. See that? Then we'll grab some Stampin' Dimensionals. I've got the edge of this one that I'm going to use up. I have a bunch of these little half sheets started from an event that I did. So I'm going to be using up a lot of edges. Don't ever throw your edges away. That often happens with new stampers. They'll throw their edges away once the little dots are gone. Don't throw them away. You guys all know that. All right, so we got our dimensionals. This goes up along the edge of our wood grain paper and along the edge of our card. Go ahead and pop that one down. Now, I'm not ready to put my tree on because I'm going to do dimensionals, but I'm also going to do my little bear. So I'm going to kind of tuck him in. I am a big fan of dry fit. So I'm going to take a little bit of glue and I kind of dry fit my bear to my trees. I'm going to glue them together and make them one piece. Now that they're one piece, I can put dimensionals on the back. I just love it. All right, do I like where my trees are? I think I do. Before I burnish down though, and just a little tip, we're having trouble getting our little bear because we didn't want his backside covered up. We're having trouble getting him to fit so that the baby and the bear fit without anybody being under the greeting. So before you burnish anything down, make sure your little guy fits. Then go ahead and press it all down. So there's our season's greeting. I'm going to try and make this. Did you know this, now that this is not flat packed and it comes out all curly, you can just run this between your thumbnail and your finger and straighten out all those curls. You guys know that that's how that works. So same thing here. It's not going the way that I want it to go, so I'm just going to run it between my thumbnail and my finger and get the kinks, the curls out of it. Bend it to my will, make it go the direction I want it to go. So I don't know if you guys knew that. All right, last step are our little stars. I keep every bit of foil paper. Like this is what I'm holding on to, and I keep every bit of foil paper just for these instances. So with a piece like this, I can punch so many little stars, and just right in the corner there, punching out that smallest little star. And pieces like that, that's found money right there. You know what I mean? You're getting something that's so beautiful and so useful for a card out of something that you might have otherwise thrown away. So hold on to all those tiny little bits. I have a Ziploc bag where I just throw all these little ends in because they make great tiny tags, little hearts, little stars, because you never know when they're going to come in handy. All right, so I've got 8 stars here, I think. What did I end up doing? Yeah, 8 of them. And I'm just going to put a little multi-purpose glue where I want them. So I'll do maybe 3 at a time. And triangle arrangements are pleasing to the eye. Odd numbers, just keep those things in mind. Do my take your pick tool and just put them right up into the little glue dot that we already squeezed onto the card. All right, so Chicago area stampers. If you want to brave the weather this evening, we have our happy hour craft from 4:30 to 6 p.m. Just drop in. So this is the card we're making tonight. There's already a project sheet up on the blog. It's the same one we did for coffee and a card. So come on out if you live in the Chicago area. If you don't, buzz over to kitchentablestamper.com and there'll be project sheets for both of these on the blog. You can download them, print them, follow along with the video, make the projects. And if you've ever thought about becoming a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, about joining Stampin' Up!, there's so many great things about Stampin' Up!, the Stampin' Success magazine, the Kitchenette's team, getting to see everything before. Have you guys heard about the new Stampin' trimmer? Yes, demonstrators get to order it on October 1st. So being a demonstrator is filled with tons of advantages and great benefits, and being a kitchenette is a lot of fun. So if you've had questions about it, email me or text me, call me. And if you thought about doing it, just do it. What's holding you back? $99 for the starter kit. You get $125 worth of your choice merchandise and free shipping on that. So there's nothing to lose. All right, you guys, if you've got any questions about anything, about the project today, about being a demonstrator, about inking techniques, I don't know, whatever. Chicago weather, email me, marisa@kitchentablestamper.com. All right, guys, everybody have a great weekend. I'm going to go get some stuff done and get ready for happy hour craft tonight. All right, guys, I'll catch you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye now.